Hey, what's up guys, AARava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 22 My Team career mode. This is episode number 107 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 7. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the Mexican Grand Prix, an early Mexico GP we had this season, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, as it did not disappoint so many times. That race has given us such an epic race in the end of the season. Well, this time it was round number 4 of this season, and it was a great day in the office for brand new race winner in Formula 1, Oscar Piastri. Finally, the Haas came good and converted a solid qualifying position. Wasn't easy though. There was a fair bit of chaos in 2 safety car restarts, and yeah, a little bit of disappointment, I guess, for the pole sitter Leclerc. Another pole position, another failed attempt at converting that to a race win. But now we come to his home race. If he's looking that good again on Saturday, he actually might have a chance finally. But for us, it was a pretty decent Grand Prix, actually, all things considered, with a messy ending. You know, we were on the soft compound tyre, wanted to use that to good use, but few mistakes creeping in. Hamilton actually having a go at us, and we're having to re-overtake him, and a little bit of damage actually at the end of the race saw us only climb to 3rd place after making that little bit of a strategy ploy to do the 2-stop around Mexico, because actually over a 1-stop I didn't think we'd have the pace for it, and we did gain a few points on Mick Schumacher, as did Lando Norris, as well as both Vettel Rennsport cars had a quieter weekend. Well, I mean, Drogovic actually didn't have a quiet weekend. He had an explosive weekend as he barreled into turn 1 way too hot, crashed into Lewis's back end and took himself out of the running. So he's going to want to make up for that, and so now we come to Monaco, and of course Saturday's qualifying is the most important qualifying of the entire season, as it is very difficult to overtake at Monaco, and probably gets harder every game really, because the AAR get better at placing their car, defending, getting out the corners. So for us it is crucial to do well here. But eagle-eyed viewers, you may have noticed at the start there of the video when you saw our car in the main activity timeline menu, and you can see right now from the onboard, we have got a special one-off change to the livery for the Monaco GP. We've got Martini as a sponsor. They were on our front wing and rear wing for the first part of this season, but now we've got the Martini stripes all across our car, and what a place to have it at Monaco. Of course, I feel like Martini, a very cool brand synonymous with a place like Monaco, so we've got the Martini stripes for one race, and hoping they bring a little bit of good luck for us as we barrel now to the end of the first flying lap in Q1. We're going to go for a consecutive lap though, as Monaco, it's all about dialing into the circuit. You hear a lot in real life from the pundits, and that was the case here, because we gain, nearly 4/10 that was into the hairpin. Little bit of loss here and there as we seesaw around this circuit. We've got a bit of traffic of Ricciardo getting out the way, thankfully, and by the end of it, 2 purples. There's going to be a much better lap time. We did lose a bit in the last sector though, because at one point we were about nearly half a second up. We've pulled it back to 3.5 tenths gained, and we go quickest of all ahead of Piastri under an overcast Monaco. Very overcast. There was a bit of forecast for maybe some rain. Looks like it actually might be staying away, which probably might be a good thing, but of course would have caused more chaos. But I think it's going to remain dry, but just a bit doom and gloom, I guess. But absolutely fantastic showing for the first part of qualifying. 1-2, can't ask for much more, but I feel like others are not showing their hands fully yet, I would say, and we're just going to have to see how it goes basically. But I imagine we're going to see a pretty, well, you see Lando's already there in P3, a strong Audi showing from Norris, but then, Leclerc, so many pole positions, so I think 3 poles so far at the 4 races we've had, so he's looked pretty darn mighty and nifty over 1 lap, and it's his home race, so he's going to have to try extra, basically, and I think he will probably be trying extra as we now go into Q2. The sun is out now, so definitely the rain is not joining us for Saturday. Sunday, still a bit of a question mark, but at least for this Saturday, yeah, it's going to be all dry, and the sun is out, heating up the circuit a little bit, so track temps might be climbing up, so let's see how that affects things. I have to say, don't think it's been the tidiest Sector 1, just been a little bit hesitant to really chuck the car in compared to in Q1. I feel the lighting changes do affect things a little bit, where the sun glare is, where you spot the break points, and so going into Raskas, a lock up there. there. I don't think this is going to match our Q1 lap time, which might be a problem, seeing as how close the grid is across the line. And it's, I think, at least 4 or 5 tenths down from that Q1 lap we did and that second consecutive run. So we're going out now for our second flyer in the company of Carlos Sainz and a car behind us as well as we go to the last dying minutes of this Q2 session. You can see in the top left, we're down to P10, sorry, not up, but down to P10, which is a problem. We got let by Carlos Sainz, but then I decided to let him and Verstappen through because they were a bit too close for comfort right behind me, so I thought I wanted a bit more clean air, basically, to give us the best shot, just no one around us, no one to kind of, get in the way and distract us. But with P10 there, we need to have a much better lap. Into turn 1, though, disaster. Our DRS has failed, and that's going to be an issue because here, as we have done, and traffic as well, of Hulkenberg, we almost crashed into that. So we've had traffic and we've got no DRS. And as you guys, if you've watched the series the last 2-3 seasons, we've had this extra DRS zone in Monaco through the tunnel. So that's going to doubly hurt me around this lap than it normally would do. Hulkenberg retires from the session. That's why he was going slow. We've somehow actually managed to gain time and pull back some time as we try and dance this car around and wrestle and try to find some desperate time out of it. But the lack of DRS in the tunnel hurt things. Also, that little liftoff and hesitancy when we were overtaking Hulkenberg did not help things. And in the end of it, we're going to gain 3 tenths. And usually that'd be a great thing, but that is just not enough because this field was so competitive. We had to do better than that. We had to go better than our Q1 lap time because, Sainz has done a 1:08.7 and looking mighty fine there. Hamilton gets through in P6 and once again, we're left scratching our head. P11. There's just something about this car this season over one lap. Just can't seem to get it out and just, nail that lap as we may have done in the Ferrari last season or our own car the season before when we were partnered with Lotus. So P11, best of the rest, but at Monaco, that's no consolation because it's going to be a one-stop, I think, for pretty much everyone. I think I'll be very surprised if it wasn't, even with the higher tyre wear levels we've been seeing this season. So that's going to be tricky, but at least Lewis can try and do well there. But both Audis through, both Vettel Rennsport, both Porsche Williams and the Haas cars, and one lone Mercedes. Let's see how that top 10 shakes out for the grid tomorrow. Let's see.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco, then, is not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo. And although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Magnussen, Hamilton, Lando Norris, and Hulkenberg, Mick Schumacher, Russell, Drugovich, and Carlos Sainz. The owner-driver, Tsunoda, Alex Albon, and Liam Lawson, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Logan Sargent, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Schwartzman, and Théo Pourchaire. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
So it's the exact same front row as we had last time out at Mexico. There appears to be a bit of a pattern, Leclerc is really looking like a very handy qualifier this season in the Golf Porsche Williams, but he hasn't been able to convert any of his poles into a race win. This may be the best chance to do it. He's alongside Piastri, though, the last time race winner, so he might have something to say about it into the first corner. But let's have an applause for Lewis Hamilton on the second row in our car, showing it had some pace out there, which is even more unfortunate. We're down here in P11, but what can Hamilton do? Could he go for that elusive podium, that first podium of the season? For us, we've got some quick cars to overtake. It's going to be tricky. It's a bit overcast, but there is no rain on the way, so it's going to be hard and fast racing. One stop for most people, I reckon, if not all of us, so there's going to be nowhere to hide. We have to do our overtakes on circuit. Here we go to 5 red lights. The jewel in the Formula 1 calendar. It's the Monaco Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. Bit of a slow start for Drugovich. Russell as well, who boxed Carlos Sainz in. And we're going to go down the inside of 1-2 cars. Try to make it 3 on Drugovich, but probably best not to stick our nose in as we just get the pass done on the Merc and the Audi. And meanwhile, look up there on the timing ladder. Lewis Hamilton has overtaken Magnussen. He is up into P3, and because it's Monaco, he's maybe got a very good chance just of keeping that position unless something crazy happens in this race, which there is a higher likely chance of. But right now it's going well. But the home favourite Leclerc in first place from Piastri, Hamilton, Magnussen, Norris. Then you've got Hülkenberg, the 2 Vettel Rennsport cars, and myself in P9 trying to keep up with Felipe Drugovich. The Vettel Rennsport cars had a very strong start to the season. Schumacher's been very consistent, but overall they've looked a little bit slower the last couple of races, and who knows how Monaco is going to fare for them. But for us, we need to now try and form a game plan of how we're going to overtake a couple of cars to get us up into some more points. We have 2 right now in P9, but ideally we'll want a few more and try to make the most of these medium tyres, because later on in the race, the hards, they're going to be pretty nasty. I am already thinking maybe of stretching the mediums to go for the soft tyres. We have a little half look at Drugovich lock up into turn 1, and that's why it's going to be difficult today. I had a good run on Felipe, trying to go to the outside, locked up, and that was game over. We have to recompose and go again. But yeah, I think we've done that in the past at Monaco, stretching the mediums to go to soft, which is a daring move, but it could work for us, just because the hard tyres are so damn disgusting around here. But let's see how this medium tyre stint goes first of all. And how it's going a couple laps later, well, is very Monaco. We're still staring at the back of Drugovich's rear wing. It's been a tough old 3 laps trying to maybe figure out where we can make the pass. Turn 1 didn't really seem like the best place. Could it be in sector 3 as we have DRS through the tunnel to close us up to the Brazilian? But I'm feeling like there is probably a move happening in sector 3 where we're a little bit more agile than the Brazilian. I think he may already be struggling a little bit just with grip. I don't know. He just doesn't look as quick as Schumacher up the road as we're getting dangerously close to these barriers, inches away from everything through swimming pool. We've got really good momentum here, but we're just not close enough this time to maybe make a dive at Raskas like we like to do in this race. But I think I'm sensing the opportunity. The next lap, lap 6, we're a bit closer now through the tunnel. Maybe even the DRS here might help us as we dump a lot of battery. We're gaining through the apex of the tunnel, out the other side, and dive down the inside late on the brakes, and we managed to nail the apex, and that's actually a great move. Drugovich probably taken a little bit wide there, but in terms of myself, I did keep in the confines of the circuit, nailed the apex on the right-hander there, and we're up into P8 then, chasing after Mick Schumacher, lap 10, not wanting to waste time. Both of us, though, with DRS as he's altered behind Hülkenberg as Verstappen crashes in the wall at swimming pool. He's done that before in real life in the Red Bull, but here in the Ferrari, he's done it today on lap 10. He's caught Pierre Gasly in the McLaren with him, and that is going to bring out this safety car. Now, the mediums are pretty, well, they're pretty cooked actually, because we have been facing more tyre wear this season as a whole. Don't know about the other drivers, so I don't know. The thing is, Hamilton's in the pits, so I don't want to double stack, so we continue on, and I'm thinking now on the fly, I think let's try this audacious stretch the medium tyre stint and go on to softs, because 1, didn't want to double stack because that would have pushed us down the order looking at how close the cars were behind us, and then 2, the hard compound off the restart is going to be quite slow to get off the line. So maybe a soft compound later might be good. But here, I thought for some reason that there was no delta time or where the hell the safety car was. We caught up to the safety car, drove alongside him to communicate my annoyance because there was no delta time up until I caught the safety car. There's still no delta time. So I thought I could blast it and maybe come into the pits and still make a pit stop work. But no, now the safety car slowed us down, and he slowed us down enough where now a pit stop at this point is just not worthwhile. Now it's more worth to commit to going longer on the mediums and then going on to the soft compound tyre. But still kind of ruining the opportunity I thought I maybe had to blitz that lap around on the yellows and try and still make the pit stop work. We drive alongside the safety car again just to vent a little bit in the cockpit. Actually tap the safety car and we get a warning for collision with the safety car. I've never seen that message. Usually when you touch the safety car, you get a penalty or it explodes you in old F1 games. So I've never seen that one. So we got a formal warning for hitting the safety car as I wanted just to vent some more, but we can't vent anymore. We have to get ready, and I need to put that annoyance aside because now we've dug our grave. We have to go longer, and I can't really blame the safety car situation because we could have just firmed it with a double stack, but I chose not to because, well, I got Russell there, to be fair, in P2 and Albon, both Mercedes cars. They were on those hards from the get-go. As you can see, I'm drifting around the final corner, so clearly you can see my mediums are going off, but I just need to have more pace than Russell, not necessarily Leclerc and the rest of them, because Russell and Albon, the two Mercs, they've been on those hards since the start of the Grand Prix, so they're going to be a lot slower. So I just need to hope Russell slows up with his tyre wear, holds back the whole grid, and I can build a bit of a gap, or at least that's the hope, as we look to try and get at least around these guys again when we make our pit stop onto soft tyres. But yeah, Hamilton P6, still doing well behind Piastri in a net P3 effectively, but that Mercedes behind me, I'm hoping he can do us a solid, and by the time he comes into the pits, look at the top left, lap 22, Leclerc's 6.5 seconds behind me, so Russell was that slow. You know, initially he was actually on me, but eventually we pulled away 6 seconds. That's a pretty good, decent margin. It may not be enough to counteract the fact we're pitting now and didn't get a free pit stop, but factor in a double stack, I don't know where we would have ended up. So it's hard to really tell what would have been the better option. I just feel like a double stack would have been accepting the fact would be down the order, whereas here we had half a chance to pull ourselves up the order. We come in, of course, Leclerc will take the race lead, Piastri second, Hamilton still third place in this race. That is great stuff to see as we now go on to a fresh set of soft tyres, the set we didn't use in Q3, of course, or making it into Q3, and so now it's about blitzing it. We come out in P9 with some clean air. We are behind all the cars we did overtake earlier, Drugovich, and well, actually technically we didn't even get a chance to try and overtake Schumacher, etc. So to be fair, we've only lost one position to Drugovich, and now we're in softs versus the hards, and I think we would have been a bit worse off with a double stack. So yeah, I don't know, swings and roundabouts. But into Raskas, because of the soft tyres, we have a beautiful exit and enough grip to go down the inside to make an overtake through the final corner on Drugovich to get up into P8, and that is why maybe this strategy might be a little bit better for us, because we have that grip, that confidence to turn the nose in, get the power down early. So now 1.3 the gap to Hulkenberg, who has been actually overtaken in the pit stops by Schumacher, because of course Hulkenberg would have had to double stack with Piastri, so he has lost out with a double stack compared to his teammate, so that's what I avoided basically. But now we're right up the gearbox of Hulkenberg, pretty much pushing him through Casino Square, down the inside at Mirabeau, first gear, get the nose in, wash out a bit wide, and we're up into P7, and now looking to get Schumacher to climb up to P6. We were nowhere near P6 before the pit stop. So right now, this is looking good. Down the inside, it's the infamous Larascas dive bomb. A little bit of tyre banging, but a pretty clean move on Schumacher. We have to finish off the move into the final corner because he was so determined to stick with us. But in turn, he slowed himself up, and Hulkenberg going for the move. The Repsol Haas on the Vettel Rennsport car, and Hulkenberg cheekily gets an overtake done up into P7. Schumacher back down behind Hulkenberg now in this race, and back just ahead of Drugovich. And we're now chasing after Lando Norris under a second behind. Yellow flags though. Norris is slow, and Hamilton's got an engine failure. No, from P3. Oh, that's so crushing, and Hamilton's now blocking us with his smoke screen. I can't see anything in front of me. Hulkenberg's overtaken as he blocks us then, and we still can't get round him. And so Hamilton is out of the Grand Prix. We're having a mare now. That was almost straight into the wall there. Typical F1 22 wheel spin in like fourth gear there. And now Schumacher is ahead of us because of all that tyre spinning. That definitely heated up the internal carcass temperature of the rear tyres. So we've gone from maybe looking to overtake Norris to being overtaken by Hulkenberg. Schumacher. We gain a free position from Hamilton, but that is crushing Hamilton. He was on for a podium, his first podium on his return to Formula 1 this season, and it's another engine failure. That is a second engine failure in 5 races, and for us, well, we're lucky to be fair because we almost smashed into the back of the Audi, and then also maybe could have had some contact with Hamilton. In turn, unintentionally, he did block us and cause this situation we're in now, trying to re-overtake Schumacher on the outside of that complex of corners. Pretty damn sweet, to be fair. And that soft tyre grip still paying out, even though the tyres may have been cooked a little bit with some wheel spin. But you can see there, going opposite lock, the tyres now maybe feeling a bit of tyre wear in general as well. Can we try and close the gap back up to Hulkenberg? 4.3 over 11 laps. I hope so, and we do so. Lap 36. We are within 1 second of Hulkenberg, but you saw there, as we went through the final corner, my rear end just stepping out everywhere. The tyre indicator's brick orange, so these tyres are going off, and it wouldn't have been an issue if we had overtaken Norris normally and Hamilton didn't DNF, because we would have just had track position on Norris, and we could have just, coasted home. But I'm trying to push hard to overtake Hulkenberg and try and get back up to P5 at least in this race, but I just can't believe it. From P3 Hamilton, that's so unlucky. He's getting my engine failure luck, it would seem, this time round this season. But it could have been a lot worse, to be fair. Like I said, I really think we were inches away from having a pile up there with Norris and Hamilton. So I'm just lucky we came away with no damage, even with getting held up in the smoke screen. That was Hamilton's car. But you can see, as much as I've tried, in order to catch up to Hulkenberg, I've had to push my tyres, and now we're skating through Sector 3 with no confidence. Just every other corner, I'm soaring away at the steering wheel, trying to keep it going in a straight line. And so as we cross on to the second last lap of the Grand Prix, again a bit of oversteer, DRS open, but by the last lap, Hulkenberg pulls out ahead more than a second. So without DRS, I'm now not able to stick with Hulkenberg, so we may have to accept the P6 and the fastest lap with 1 extra point there today. It's been a tough one in the office, qualifying P11. In past F1 games, you could have gone for it, but with these modern F1 games, the AI are tricky to overtake, and it's shown. It's been difficult to make up positions, and so we'll have to accept P6. But Leclerc is going to happily welcome his first win in a long while in this series, and it's his first win for Golf Porsche Williams. He's finally broken the duck, and he's converted one of his pole positions to a race win. It's a double Porsche Williams podium with Magnussen in third, Piastri consistent with the P2 there, as I limp home with some shot tyres again in P6 here though today at Monaco. That's, well, we maximised what we could do. We avoided a crash, so can't get too annoyed at that, but I am annoyed at the fact that Hamilton had that failure, because that would have been such a sweet podium. It is what it is. It happens.
So after a day of mixed fortunes up and down the field, we bring today's race to a close. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
It's a deserving win, to be fair, for Leclerc. He's had a little bit of misery this season, having so many poles and not getting a win. And he's finally, I think for the first time in this series, maybe won his home race. So Leclerc finally has some luck at Monaco around the streets he literally grew up in. But it's a double Gulf Porsche Williams podium. That's a big load of points compared to the rest of us rivals there today. So they may be looking quite handy in the championship. Piastri building on that success of the win at Mexico, just a consistent another podium, second place, good for him. I mean, Haas had a great day with Hülkenberg P5 as well, to be fair. Again, Norris being the champion for Audi, Sainz only down in P10, and Logan Sargent got points around here in the Andretti. Very impressive for him, but look at that. Leclerc all of a sudden now leads the Drivers' Championship with that win. He's been silently, pretty, consistent actually after that first misery race at Melbourne where he scored 0 points, and so now he's crept up into first place just ahead of Schumacher. So tight between those two, myself and Norris, in the top 4 in the championship, and then chasing pack of Piastri, Magnussen, Drugovich, Hülkenberg and Hamilton would have been higher if it wasn't for that DNF today. And look at that, Gulf Porsche Williams now into the lead of the Constructors' Championship. It is game on for both championships between multiple drivers and multiple teams. For us, we just did the best we could and would have hoped for in terms of the situation. And all round, still a pretty good Monaco Grand Prix with some great overtakes actually, especially on those soft tyres. So guys, if you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.